Alright guys, so this is going to be the last of the help videos, and today we're going to take a look at the electric metronome circuit here, and this is definitely a hard circuit. You've got two transistors, you've got a bunch of things that are crisscrossing, and again, you've got no picture. You're just working from a schematic. So let's take a look at it. As I've done in the past here, and what you should be doing is I kind of gathered up all of my stuff. I got the 3906 and the 3904. This thing calls for a 3.3K, so that's going to be an orange, red. R2 is your potentiometer. We've got a capacitor down here that reads as 100 UF. So if we look at the capacitor, you spin it over on the side, it's actually printed right there and tells you that it's 100. So you'll have to look at your capacitors and find that. So let's take this thing systematically like we normally do. We're starting with the positive of the battery. You can see the first thing it runs into is R1, which is at 3.3K, and then it also wraps around here to the in of our Q2, and Q2 is our 3906. So I'm going to do like I normally do. I'm going to plug the positive just into a random spot. You can put it anywhere you want in your breadboard. I'm going to put the 3.3K in that same row. And I gotta find my 3906 here, which is this one. To try to keep my breadboard looking a lot like this circuit over here, I'm gonna put Q2 kind of up here somewhere, and then I'm gonna run a jumper wire from the positive of the battery to the in of Q2. All right, now if we come back over to the schematic, the middle, since we just got to Q2, the end of Q2, let's keep working with Q2. So since the center pin of Q2, we follow that, that comes down to the in pin of Q1. So let's put Q1 in our breadboard in a relative position to the schematic. Look at what I'm doing here. You see how the schematic is staggered this way? I talked to you guys about trying to make your breadboard look like the schematic. So it's kind of set up like this, so I'm kind of setting it up like that so it looks the same. So I'm going to go from the center of Q2 to the in of Q1 with a jumper wire. Now, let's come back over and look at the center of Q1. The center of Q1 is fed by the center of the potentiometer, the center pin, and the end pin of my potentiometer is connected to that resistor. So let's put the resistor in the breadboard, again, in a random location. Let's put the potentiometer in there, and let's take the center of the potentiometer and put that in the center of Q1, and we're just going to bend this wire out of the way because it's not used. Now, it looks like the third leg of Q1 just feeds back to the negative. You can see the little hump in the schematic right here. It's not connected to anything. So let's just take care of that. Let's take the battery snap. Let's plug the negative of the battery. And let's just finish off Q1 while we're at it. Let's run that over there to the negative and just be done with that transistor. There is one other connection here that we don't want to miss. In between the potentiometer and in between Q1, you can see we've got the positive side of the capacitor connects like right in between there. And then the negative side of the capacitor actually goes back up to Q1. So there's a couple of ways you could do this. I'm going to take, here's the negative of my capacitor, right? And that was connected to the third leg of Q2. So we're going to put that in here like this. And then I'm going to run a jumper wire from here. And this was actually supposed to go in between. So I'm going to move this over and literally put this in between. And I could do it like that. The other option is you could just flip this. You could put the positive leg of the capacitor in between there. And you could run the jumper wire then up to here. Wouldn't really matter how you did that. It would work either way. And then it looks like we've got one more component to deal with. And that's our speaker. So the speaker is also tied to the out pin of Q2. And if we follow it around, don't miss this, there's a connection here. It's also tied to the out pin of Q1. And we already took that jumper wire and connected the out of Q1 back to the negative of the battery snap. So I should be able to just go like this. I should be able to put the speaker on the out of Q1, the speaker on the out of Q2, and of course my speaker's not soldered, so this came off here. Yours is soldered, so that'll be easier for you. Of course, this is going to be a pain. Sorry, guys. Get that on there. Well, okay, now let's run this over. It came off again. Yay. All right, guys, I got that on there. That's why we solder them. So the speaker's going from Q2 back to Q1. Q1 is already tied to the negative. So we should have everything. Looks like a lot of wires, a lot going on. Let's see here if we plug this in. What we got. You adjust the potentiometer. You can hear that makes a tapping just like a metronome in music would. And you can increase and decrease the frequency or the speed of that by adjusting this. Now, don't tear this circuit apart, because the last circuit that you're going to do, the electric motorcycle, is an identical circuit. The only difference is you are changing your capacitor. So this is sort of a 2-for-1, buy one get one free here. If you get this circuit done, you can just flip this to the 10 and you should have the other circuit working as well. Okay? Good luck, guys.